And we're live. It is Monday. It is July the 21st, the year of our Lord 2025. It is 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. And I know what you're thinking this morning. You're thinking, Ben, why are you wearing a dog shirt and a Vishivanka? And the answer to that question is that I am in Highlands, North Carolina, where I'm giving a speech, and dog shirt alone seemed, I don't know, maybe a little bit too informal. But dog shirt with blazer seemed a little bit too, like, it's not like an address. I'll be sitting up on a stage with, so it's a little too formal. But dog shirt with Vishivanka seemed like the right thing, and I figured I would also have the benefit of I could send a selfie of it to Nastia and amuse her, which I did this morning, and she responded, "OMG, that's the most you outfit ever." And that's what I'm going for, the most me outfit ever on this Monday morning. So let me tell you a few things about Highland, North Carolina, which is if you are going to go there from Washington, D.C., and you think, oh, I'll just drive because it's, North Carolina, so it's just one state over. You got your Virginia in between, and you got your North Carolina underneath, so it's going to be like a 4 to 5 hour drive. The joke is on you because what you'll find out if you try to drive to Highland, North Carolina, is that you are actually driving the entire length of Virginia, not just its width, because you're driving all the way to the end, and then you drive into Tennessee, and that's the sign that you're actually going a long distance, and then you go south almost to Atlanta, and you're still in North Carolina. So uh, I made that mistake yesterday. I had a lovely and very long drive, and I'm going to have a lovely and very long drive back home today. But before I do that, I'm going to give a speech with the estimable Andrew Weissman of the no, not any longer called Prosecuting Donald Trump podcast with Mary McCord. We're going to share a stage. We're going to have exchange words. It's going to be fun. Maybe I'll record it and post it on Dogshirt Daily. Maybe I won't. I'm not sure because I haven't planned that far ahead. And then I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to drive home. And all along the way, the sun will be shining as it is in back of me. The birds will be chirping, except that bird who is no longer among the living, because it's going to be a great freaking day, and you are watching Dog Shirt TV, and it is a freaking revolution in morning television. One of the revolutionary features is that I just made the estimable Mike Feinberg sit through that monologue. And another one of the revolutionary features is that I read Nastia's text message to me on the show, and now I'm taunting her about it. All of which is a long-winded way of saying that we are not allowed to have fun anymore, but we are allowed to have a peculiar Monday in a place that I've never been before, with Mike Feinberg, former FBI agent and soon to be former non-parent, um, and and Nastia, who is walking down the street in Kiev with no air raids going on. Nastia, did you get any sleep last night at all? You were texting me at an insane hour.
Yeah, it was a pretty bad attack. I did get a little bit of sleep, like maybe 4 hours in total. 1 hour in the beginning of the night, 2 hours in the morning. It is what it is.
Yeah, so for those of you who, uh, you'd never know from Nastia's beautiful background here that she is
It's true.
subject to nightly air raids. But, Mike
You know
has,
why that is? It's because of America and American patriots. Just saying.
well, yeah, that's a very generous formulation of it. Um, uh, you I think the better way to say it is if there were more air defenses, maybe it would deter the nightly attacks as well as the daytime attacks. But yes, you can all congratulate yourselves for the fact that Nastia can take a walk during the day. Um, because it's because of our virtue as Americans, and we won't talk this morning about the fact that there aren't enough of them to protect the rest of the country. So that's because we're not virtuous enough.
Yes,
Mike,
exactly.
Mike Feinberg, what is on your mind this morning?
I've got a lot on my mind this morning. But the two main topics are I'm doing a lot of research about what's available open source on some of the stuff I used to work on for an article I'm considering writing for your estimable site.
Note,
And
note the excellent use of the word estimable there.
Mhm.
I'm trying to get it to catch on
Yeah,
as a general prefix like Mr. or, you know, just something you stick
yeah.
in front of something. Yeah, that's very
Like
good.
referring to somebody as the right honorable if you're a member of parliament. Just make it the adjective of choice.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and how frustrating an exercise is that? Are you finding that most of what you need is available in the public
Yeah,
domain?
I actually am. Because this is a sort of deep dive in how to think about Chinese counterintelligence and what does that tell us about the China initiative, which was first Trump administration effort to do a sort of whole of DOJ, whole of government prosecutorial spree. And it's something about which I have mixed feelings. I won't get more into it until I start actually writing, but because it was focused largely on criminal prosecutions, there's actually quite a bit out there that I can
Hmm.
use. And then,
So, no, go ahead.
no, and then the other main item for the day is an ongoing battle with my wife about um I don't think even you know about this about me. Most people don't. I'm obsessed with horror films.
Oh, I
And I
do know that because
yeah, and I
periodically you send me pictures of the uh, um, the
this stuffed
pluffy
animals. Yeah,
xenomorph from Alien that you've bought for your unborn child.
exactly.
Uh,
And I've got a matching Cthulhu one as well, but there's an ongoing debate between my wife and I about how early I can introduce our soon to be born child to this genre. My theory being the earlier we do it, the more we'll sort of inoculate him against being afraid of things. It's sort of an experiment in
in dropping
creating
the
hardening.
child in the deep end of the
Yeah,
water and
yeah,
seeing what
but
happens.
if it's something that like he's used to before he's ever really conscious, like um,
Right,
might have
then
to
when he
yeah,
actually sees a
it
George
won't shock.
Romero zombie coming at him, he'll be
He's
perfectly
not going to
calm.
freak out. Exactly. My wife is saner than I am, so she is not totally on board with this. So I've been looking for films that are children's films that still
That are
have
still
overtones.
horrifying.
Not horrifying,
Yeah,
but
so
you know,
so not Nastia, you have a toddler. What do you think? Are you exposing Ava to horror movies yet?
We live in Kiev. Yesterday was a horror movie. I don't know what to tell you. She she listens to the explosions like regularly.
And do they
I
bother
yeah.
her? Or
It's interesting. So I think they do. So like last night, I usually open the window. I don't know why I do this, by the way. I would always open the window so I can hear all of it. I guess my logic in the moment is that if I hear that it's coming at me, at least I will know that I'm about to die. I don't know what the logic is because like it doesn't actually affect anything. And then last night I didn't open the window. So the explosions were actually much more quieter than usual and it was much more comfortable. But you could still hear them. And every time she'd hear them, she would like get up, like she would be like going to sleep and trying to fall asleep, and then she'd hear them and she'd get up and she would like notice them. But I mean, someone who understands child psychology explained this to me. I feel like she doesn't actually understand what that means. I think she's reacting to like me usually reacting anxiously to them, right? Like in other scenarios, she would see me like grabbing her off the bed and running, or or like being scared, and that's how she connected that that sound is mom being scared because she doesn't know what's happening at all, right? She doesn't
right.
understand.
Well, and
So
and
yeah,
and there's
so it
lots of
bothers her insofar as she notices them, but I don't know what to do about it. Apart from so she falls asleep. Months ago, she started falling asleep to my husband singing. He would like sing Crimean Tatar songs to her in like Turkish and Crimean Tatar, and it was very cute. But every time I called him to sing it, he'd be like annoyed because it happens all the time. And I just recorded audio of him doing it, and I would just play the audio to her like every night when she falls asleep. So I played the same freaking song, which I hate by now. I played it loudly for like an hour and a half last night. So like she didn't hear any explosions. She just heard the song and she slept like through the night. It was fine.
and
But
does
yeah.
question do other songs work, or does it have to be Eric singing the Crimean Tatar song? I mean, like, if Mike Feinberg sang songs about xenomorphs and zombies, would that lull her to sleep, or is it really the magic of Daddy singing the Crimean Tatar song?
I think it's his voice that calms her down. He doesn't only sing Crimean Tatar songs, he sings some Ukrainian traditional songs when we're together at home. Because he knows a lot of songs. He's good at singing, actually. So I think it's him. Like if I play Taylor Swift for her, like some slow love song, I think she wouldn't react the same way. I should try that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Um, all
But
right.
I am also very against horror films. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Mike. I
Most people are, unfortunately.
yeah, see my stance on that is when I got pregnant, or like midway into my pregnancy, I realized that I'm so emotionally tired because
Mhm.
my husband was in the military and that was super stressful, and then just living in a war is obviously stressful. That I was like, I can't deal with any negativity, like extra content, Like I can't even look at a sad TikTok. Like I'm not doing it. Like give me, rainbows and sunshine and romantic comedies and like only I can only consume that kind of content. And I'm still on that vibe. I don't need any horror movies.
We
So
are
that's my thing.
we are not living in a war zone, obviously.
You guys
But
are the unbombed.
yes, yes. But my wife is still very much of the opinion, like she watches these to humor me. Um, but her go-to comment after every single one is like, "We now need to watch Care Bears or a cartoon" as a sort of palate cleanser to
I do that as well,
get her
yes.
back to the right place.
Because I would be scared to fall asleep after a horror movie,
Yeah.
so I would watch something nice after it.
All right, so here is my question for you, Mike Feinberg. What
Yes.
is your favorite horror movie?
Can we limit it by era? Like that's a really tough question to just give one. I mean, in terms of things that were released in the past 10 or 15 years, I don't
No,
think
no,
you
no. No, 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 no. All time. Because there's a right answer to this question.
I mean, probably The Exorcist.
Oh,
Um
okay.
but like
The right answer to this question is the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
the Kevin McCarthy one,
Yeah, the
the
one
black and white, yeah,
from
it's great.
1954, 53, or
Yeah, when they did it as a sort of metaphor for the communist threat and the overreact. Well, I wouldn't say it's an overreaction, but the reaction to the communist threat in America as well.
That
yeah.
sounds fantastic. What is this about?
So
I
I
heard
don't want to
communist threat.
I
I
don't
don't
want
want
to
to.
tell you anything about it. It's an interesting question what it's a metaphor for,
Yeah.
whether it's a metaphor for communism or for McCarthyism or both.
Hmm.
Um, but it is. Um, oh, so here is my hypothesis about it.
Hmm.
It comes out in 1953 or 54, I forget which.
Hmm.
In 1959, Eugene Ionesco writes or debuts Rhinoceros in Paris, which is exactly the same story, only instead of turning into replicas of
Yep.
yourself, people turn into rhinoceroses.
Hmm.
And um, and I am convinced that Ionesco ripped off Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I mean, it's literally the same story down to the horrifying climactic moment where blank happens
Hmm.
and so turns. I'm not going to say it because it'll
Yep.
ruin it for Nastia, who clearly loves horror movies and is going to want to
I'm
see it.
never watching it. I've
Um,
never watched it.
um, and it's but I am convinced, without any evidence, that Ionesco saw this, uh, uh, what must have been to him a trashy Hollywood movie, and is inspired by it, and writes Rhinoceros based on it as a kind of elite, French theater, French avant-garde theater, basically reboot of
Yeah.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
So it's tough to get into this without spoiling what's actually going on in this story.
Well,
But that,
we can say
yeah,
generically that both stories involve Invasion of the Body
yeah,
Snatchers involves an idyllic town in presumably the Midwest, or
middle
it's in
America, yeah,
California, I think, in which people suddenly start becoming convinced that their close relatives are not, in fact, their
yeah,
relatives, but are replicas of their relatives, and uh, and the reason is that they, in fact, are
hmm,
a space alien has created these pods
hmm,
that duplicate you while you sleep, and then the duplicate of you kills you and tries to create pods, get other people to fall asleep with pods so that they will be replaced too. And in Rhinoceros, which is exactly the same story, is a small city in France where all of a sudden, spontaneously, people start turning into rhinoceroses. And it's done as absurdist theater, but it's basically the same story, which is this instinct to to conform and join the group, and um, and the way people go from being fiercely against turning to turn all of a sudden is a great metaphor for, among other things, Trumpism. And
there's
Charlie Sykes and I have talked about rhinoceros as the perfect metaphor
meta.
for our era. But I actually think Invasion of the Body Snatchers is better.
It's Invasion of the Body Snatchers is great. I'm going to revise my answer about what my favorite horror movie is in a minute, but we're talking about the original. I would urge people not to discount the 1970s remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers
with
that Philip
with
Kaufman did, with a very young Jeff Goldblum, Donald Sutherland, Leonard Nimoy. It's essentially the same story, but it turns it into a satire on New Age thinking
And it has a
in
different
60s,
ending.
70s, a very different ending, yes. That's I saw it when I was like 10, scared the living daylights out of me.
I think we lost Nastia,
Yeah.
but maybe she will return. All right, so you're going to revise your favorite horror movie
Yeah,
ending?
yeah. So
Question answer?
I was really into horror movies when I was a kid, and then sometime around college I stopped watching them completely, and it was only like 2 or 3 years ago that I got back into them. And the one that hooked me was a small independent film called The Black Coat's Daughter. Um, Maybe 90 minutes long, sort of slow moving, almost more of a tone poem than a linear story, although there certainly is a plot to be puzzled out. And it really blew me away not knowing what to expect and knowing nothing about it going in. But just in terms of atmospherics, it was phenomenal. And I find I've actually rewatched that one probably 4 or 5 times in the past 2 years alone.
Wow. Um, all right. So, other than plush horror movie
Yeah.
characters for babies, what is on your mind this morning?
Um, this is going to be a weird answer that's going to turn a lot of people off. But I've been thinking a lot about the academic economic concept that came out probably 6 or 7 years ago of weaponized interdependence and what that means for counterintelligence prosecutions in the United States.
Uh, that is what a lot of us are thinking
Yeah,
about this
but
morning.
I don't think you can. I'll explore this more as I figure it out in my own head, but I don't think you can understand U.S. policy toward China during the first Trump administration without internalizing that concept. And
Interesting.
I'm trying, I know myself and some friends were talking about it at the time inside the Bureau. I don't know if it was happening at a higher level, but that's something I'm trying to figure out.
So, I want to ask you about the latest China fears, um, anxiety, which
Mhm.
seems to be sweeping the country. It's a little
Mhm.
bit outside your area of expertise, but rational and irrational China fears are very much in your
Yeah.
zone. And so I'm curious for your thoughts on it. Um, the um, uh, Everywhere, every podcast I turn on now, there
Mhm.
is the fear that China is racing ahead in electrification, battery
Yep.
technology, solar stuff, clean energy in general,
Electric vehicles. Yeah.
electric vehicles, and that we are already terribly behind,
Mhm.
and B, as a result of the of current Trump administration policies, which amount to a doubling down on fossil fuels,
Mhm.
destined to fall further and further behind. I'm curious for not your assessment of current policy, which is something that I could ask just about anybody,
Yeah.
but your sense of the whether the admiration for the speed and magnitude of China's investment in renewable energies is overstated, whether it is, properly examined, or whether people are sort of falling for they're 10 feet tall thing.
Somewhere in between, which is not a very exciting answer, but I probably, within that spectrum of somewhere in between, lean more towards those who are alarmed at the prospect than those who think it's overrated. The only industry in which I've really done a deep dive into is the electric vehicle industry. And just they're, in terms of sales and production and purchases, they're orders of magnitude ahead of the United States on that, which, if we were just looking at our respective domestic markets, would not be a huge deal, but they're selling many more abroad than any American manufacturer is. And, to use a quote from before most of us were born, I am one of those people who believes, what's good for General Motors is good for America. And I see this as our economy failing to adapt to changing times in a way that could hurt our long term economic security.
And what's the explanation for their surge in this? Is it just that their companies are being very innovative and out competing ours? Is it that they are uh, heavily subsidized and that we should understand these as not state-owned industries, but state-backed industries, and that there's an unfair trade practices element to it? Is it just good industrial policy? What's behind it here?
All of the above. China has something which is a disadvantage in a lot of areas, including moral ones, but an advantage in other respects, which is they don't really have to worry about government transitions and changes in policy every 2 to 4 years. So if they do decide they really want to subsidize an industry, um, they don't have to worry that those subsidies are going to be voted down 2 or 4 years later, the same way that the United States does. Now, I think subsidizing industries through a sort of command economy is generally a bad idea, but it's ignoring the historical record if you say it's never worked. And this is one of those times it seems to. Um, we also have to be careful about how we talk about Chinese companies because they're not all state owned, they're not all private. There's a lot of different categories they fall into. There are the state owned enterprises, the SOEs that everybody's familiar with. There are semi private companies, but they still benefit from the government's massive campaign of economic espionage and theft of trade secrets, which then get passed on to them so they can know what their competitors are doing. Then there's what are called national champions, which are not state owned enterprises, but there is specific legislation enacted to help them compete in foreign and domestic markets. Like, there's no such thing as a truly private company there, the same way that there's no such thing as truly private media there. Um, so it's actually like it's a pretty complicated nut to crack.
Hmm. And the theory behind this ferocious investment, which is not simply in electric vehicles, it's
Yeah,
also in solar energy generation, it's in all kinds of battery technology.
yeah.
Is the theory that uh, domestically China needs to reduce fossil fuel consumption? It is the number one. Is that what's driving it, or is it a big bet that electrification and renewables are the future of the world, and we want to be the exporter of them? I suppose it's both, right?
Yeah, it's all of the above. First of all, and more informed sinologists than myself may agree or disagree with what I'm about to say, but like you can't really view any Chinese policy, whether economic, military, social, except against the backdrop of what they call the century of humiliation, which is where they essentially found themselves at the mercy of Western powers, mainly European, to a lesser extent American, who essentially just barged their way into the country and opened a number of concessions that really took over the economic livelihood of that part of Asia. So there's a real effort since the revolution um, to never be in that situation again. And that entails, to a very large extent, creating indigenous, vertically integrated economic operations that could compete with anybody on the world stage. So that's the general theory. But I think more narrowly focused, there is a recognition that most major industrialized economies outside of the United States are recognizing that to be competitive in the long term, there does need to be a turn away from fossil fuel consumption, and that is your primary, no pun intended, engine of innovation for
Right.
developing transportational technologies. So it's a combination of historical factors, a very clear eyed appraisal of the future market, a lack of certain domestic lobbying groups that we have in a free society, and in an authoritarian regime like there, they just don't. I mean, it is much longer than the 5 minutes I have left before running to Pilates class. Get
So,
into it.
Nastia, do you see Chinese electric vehicles on the streets in Kiev?
I missed whatever you guys were talking about for the past 10 minutes because I was in the metro. But okay, what's a Chinese electric vehicle? I only
Uh,
know
the,
Tesla and
the,
non-Tesla.
so that's sort of the problem when you get into the international market. There's Tesla
Because
and there's
part of Tesla is
Chinese.
Chinese, right?
They have manufacturing facilities
Right.
in China, which
Yes.
raises some interesting questions about how dedicated to criticism of China in the name of free speech Elon Musk actually is, but it's neither
Uh-huh.
here nor there. Um, no, I think the largest manufacturer in the world outside of Tesla, and this is like from the distant recesses of my memory, so I could be wrong, but I think it's a Chinese company called BYD,
Yeah.
um, that has really
Build your
cracked the
dream.
non-US market. Yeah.
It's such a funny name.
Do you
Uh,
see any BYDs in
it's the
Ukraine?
first time I'm hearing about it, so probably no. There are some hybrid vehicles, but they're not Chinese. They're like the brands that everyone uses here that are not Chinese. But I know nothing about cars, so I'm not gonna name anything. But they're like regular brands that have been in the market for ages, and they started making like electric vehicles as well. We have some of those, and then we have some Teslas as well. They're not super popular, but there's a fair amount of them.
And do people have bumper stickers on them that say, I bought it before he went nuts and became a Russian agent?
No, I don't think so.
Because
Because
in
people who drive them are like rich Ukrainians who don't give a shit about anything.
because
So,
in
like,
in in Washington now, whenever you see a Tesla, it has an apology bumper sticker on it.
yeah, when I was in the
There's a
Arctic, sorry,
sorry.
last thing about the bumper stickers. When I was in the Arctic in Norway, both Norwegians that I was hanging out with there, Ate and Thomas, they both had Teslas. And like when because they both gave me rides to various places, and the first time I saw each of their Teslas, they were like, "Yeah, I'm sorry, we bought this before you went crazy." This is
Even
in
in
Norway.
even in Southern Virginia, we're seeing those bumper stickers.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
I
Is
mean,
that a
in
red
not
state?
on everything, but like enough that I've noticed.
well, Virginia is not a red state, but Southern Virginia is a red area.
Yes, very much so.
Um, Well, Mike has got to go do Pilates with the estimable Sophia Yan,
That
who,
no, that's yoga.
oh, that's yoga.
Pilates,
Uh,
I go to a studio near my house, and
well, uh, and I have to go in 10 minutes to give this speech, but I'm going to hang out with Nastia for a few more minutes. before jumping off a little early. Mike Feinberg, you're a great American. Keep the world safe from Chinese electric vehicles, and go figure out how to, despite Trump administration policy and rapacious Chinese investment in electrification, get America ahead of the game because somebody needs to figure it out.
We're
And
working on it.
we will see you anon.
Have a good one, guys. Good seeing you.
So, Nastia, what is on your mind today other than
What's
sleep?
on? I'm actually doing well. I told you I started. Also, I'm sorry. It's probably super loud. I'm right near a road.
No, it's actually
It's fine.
fine. It's
Okay. Okay. Um. So I told you I started like doing weight training pretty regularly, and I'm now obsessed with it. I've like ordered home equipment. I'm like going into it deeply. Uh, but I don't think it's like a fling because that happens. I can get a new hobby every month, and then I'm over it in a month. I think this is like an actual habit that I've developed because I've been doing pretty regular workouts for more than a month. And yesterday, I'm sick right now, and yesterday was my first day of being sick, and I still got up and like worked out at home because I just felt like I needed to, like my body needed to work out because I'm so used to doing it. And I now like notice all of these revolutionary things about how much better I feel. Like my back doesn't hurt. I've walked for like an hour across the entire downtown of Kiev with a bag that's heavy-ish, and I'm fine. This is like unheard of for me. So I'm obsessed. I just want to talk about gym all day.
So I just noticed that Lior put in the chat that Israel is one of the biggest markets right now for Chinese cars. Lior, if you have information about why the BYD cars are popular in Israel, uh, feel free to jump on or leave it in the chat. I'm curious about it. I've never actually seen one of them. And I'd be very curious about uh, what's driving it from, no pun intended, from a consumer point of view. I understand they sell a lot of them in Mexico too. Um, so it's clearly a huge export issue, but it's completely invisible from inside the United States because they're largely because of tariffs. They don't even try to export them here, and so I'm curious what the for all of you who live in um, uh, economies that are where they're marketing these vehicles or other uh, infrastructure and clean energy stuff. I'd be just very curious in hearing about it. Um, so,
Ben, I
yeah,
think we should tell everyone about your upcoming trip, which hasn't been planned yet, but it's hopefully coming.
well, it is coming. The only question is when it is coming. And I am going to Ukraine for a couple weeks. Um, as early as August or as late as September. I am currently waiting to hear about the resolution of certain a certain matter I have pending in court, which I am not at liberty to discuss. But as soon as I know some dates on that, I'm going to schedule a flight, and I'm going to go hang out. And Nastia and Ava are going to be my guides and interpreters. Nastia is going to um, uh, guide me around of a series of meetings with people, and Ava
Yep,
is going to, interrupt. That's going to be her job.
exactly. Yes.
Um,
Uh, yeah, it's gonna be fun, apart from the whole attacks thing. But
Yeah,
you know,
and then I will be able to say to your friend Mira of Kiev
that you've been bombed.
that I'm not one of the unbombed again, because I feel like my status in life has been lowered because I used to be cool, but now I'm the unbombed, and so it's like your generation of Ukrainians' way of saying check your privilege, dude. Um,
Yes, exactly, exactly. It's the unbombed privilege. It's
unbombed
another
privilege.
layer. You're white, you're straight, and unbombed. It couldn't
Yeah.
be worse.
Right. I mean, look, there's just no way I can ever speak on any subject with any
Yes,
authority
exactly.
again.
Authority.
And so, it's a I accept that I am, but I'm going there so that I can, shed this shameful distinction.
Yes, it's gonna be great. I'm very much looking forward to it. I already
Um,
have a mental list of hotels where I think you should stay. I've planned all of your trip already.
well, I am excited about it, and as soon as I get a certain letter from a certain court, I will be able to schedule it. Folks, we're going to wrap up a little early today because I've got to get down to the Highlands, North Carolina Center for the Performing Arts where I'm going to perform. Although, query whether what I'm going to perform is going to be an art. Um, and I'm going to then get in the car and drive, I don't know, like 9 hours home. And so, it's going to be a great frickin' day. And then at some point in the early evening, I'm going to get a text from Nastia that's going to say something like, 300 drones on the way. Um, it's a big one, and I'm gonna respond something like "Yikes! Stay safe," and that'll be like at 8:30 this evening. In the meantime, Nastya, have a lovely day. Um, and keep smiling. And we will be back, folks, tomorrow. We've got some cool shows coming up this week. Um, uh, Not all of them are going to be at the usual time. And uh, because we have some guests who need different time slots. So stay tuned on both on the show and on the newsletter for time updates. I believe for Wednesday or Thursday. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'll let you know tomorrow. Uh, as to tomorrow, I will be sleepy because I will have driven into the night, um, but I'll be there. So will you, and it's going to be fun. See you later.